Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back again with the third part of my US black metal mini-series that I'm talking about, where I'm just going through some of my favourite US black metal bands at the moment that I'm currently going, and telling you why I like them, and just pushing you in the direction of their music. I've gradually realised as I was doing research for this one that was slowly but surely moving further and further north. Obviously, the first one was started in Texas with From Up to Baal, and then we're going up to Utah to talk about Caroline Brood, and finally, just before we go into Canada, we're going to talk about a band, a one-man black metal band from Washington State. Now, obviously, this is a state that has a very strong heritage when it comes to black metal. Obviously, Wolves in the Throne Room and Cult of the Zeers, they'll come from there. And one of my favourite black metal bands ever, Ceremonial Castings, also come from there. But today I'm going to talk about a band that's, like I said, a one-man black metal band that's based in a small town called Okanogan, which is in the very north of the state, pretty far north. It's basically the edge of Canada. If Google Maps, the great oracle that is Google Maps, is telling the truth. And the band I'm talking about, as you can tell in the title, is a band called Wende. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's got an E on the end, so it could be pronounced Wende, but I'll just use Wende to simplify things. Well, basically, like I said, it's a one-man black metal band. They were formed by its sole member, Zamiel, in 2006, and they released a demo. They released a demo in 2009, called Wende, really self-titled. And 2 years later, that was followed up by again, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Vorspiel eine Philosophie der Zukunft. You wouldn't believe I have a GCSE in German, would you? If I had to describe the band's sound in one succinct sound, you can obviously hear them in the background. I'm playing one of their albums through YouTube on the background. If I had to describe it, it's got a very strong Burzum sound. I mean, obviously, I'm a very big Burzum fan. That's what I love. That's one of the things I love about it. It's got its own distinct style, but it's definitely rooted in the. It's definitely got a very strong influence from Burzum, and you can hear that on all the material really, including the album that I ended up reviewing, which came out in 2012 originally. I reviewed the reissue of it. It's called The Third in the Noble. It's the one I'm playing in the background at the moment. And I'm just going to give you a little bit run over, because obviously this is the one that I know the most about. And it's one of my... it's a very... Obviously, like I said, when you think about Burzum, you've got a lot of the... you've got obviously the really raw black metal, lo-fi production, but then there's a lot of atmospheric stuff, ambient, darker sort of sounds that really help beef out the sound, and this band managed to recreate that in their own style perfectly. It's like, it sounds amazing. It's very, like, this album, one of the things I really liked about it was the fact that it just draws you in. It's like, a lot of the songs on this are longer. A lot of them tick the 10-minute mark, and like most bands, you might have a longer song and it gets a little bit boring very quickly. This is one of those things where it kind of draws you in, it builds on a theme, it gets really interesting, mesmerises you really, and the music's really well constructed. Like a lot of one-man black metal bands, the guy is obviously clearly talented. You have to be able to play all the instruments and make them all the parts interlock very well together. So obviously he's doing very good at that, and I really liked a lot of the stuff on this album. But there's one song on this, it's a Burzum cover, it's the last song on the album. It's I can't pronounce I'm not going to even make an attempt to pronounce the name of the original title, but he's mercifully referred to it in its English title, which is Towards Ragnarok. and it was on the Daddy Bold Dear album, which was I think it was the first one that that Varg released when he was in prison for doing all that, killing his best friend and burning churches down stuff. He released that, that was originally released on that album. And the thing that I like about this particular cover is my idea of a perfect cover. I don't really think there's a perfect cover, but I think the best thing you can do with a cover is take a song and completely rework it in a completely different style and make it your own. And Zamiel has definitely done that with this. He's taken some really great music, what was originally a great song, and just completely changed the sound and made it something that he can put his own mark and put his own stamp on it. And it does sound really good. It's nice. I've been listening to Burzum for a few years, good 4 years, and it's really nice to listen back to that song with new ears and check it out and really sort of have all these different elements that you don't really pick up on the original just jump out at you, and it's it works really. It is a really good cover. That is probably what I would call the closest thing to a perfect cover. So yeah, very good. It's very good. Now, obviously, this is the part where I normally talk about the future of the band, which of course I'm going to do because the future looks very bright for Zamiel and Wende. Off of the strength of the first 2 albums, they got signed to Moribund Records, which is a very old black metal label. It was formed in 1993, and they promptly reissued the first 2 albums, which have been I reviewed one of them. I reviewed the Third and the Noble for Metal Temple, and I absolutely loved it. I think I gave it a 9 out of 10. Basically, from what I've gathered from checking out his social media, the band's social media, he's working on new material. I think he's got a couple of songs fleshed out at the moment, and I think he's planning to record sometime in the autumn or the winter, and then the new album will be out at some point in the hopefully end of this year and sometime next year. I'm not going to say an exact date because I don't really know. Obviously, I'm just a twat on the internet. I am waiting eagerly to hear that. I cannot wait to hear new music from this band. I've loved both albums that have done. I love the demo. I would greatly urge you to check out everything they've done and keep an eye out for the 3rd album whenever it drops. And obviously just check out all the metal from Washington as well, because this is just one really good band in a very strong, cohesive scene. So it's one of those states that really is the cornerstone in a lot of ways of the scene. Sorry again for the long wait. I think it was about 2 months since the last video, but I will try and I had a lot of stuff going on. I'll try and talk about them in a different video. But the next one, I'm going to talk about a band that I really like. I said it was a Canadian band. I'll just do a spoiler alert. It's Flaws and Black. So keep your eyes peeled. I will try and get that up within the next week or 2, because it's a band that I really love and I want to spend a lot of time talking about. And if you've made it this far into the video, nearly 10 minutes in, you have more patience than I do. Thank you for your time. And good night, and may your God or gods go with you.